Hey everyone, I know what you're thinking. Euphoria? I mean, where were you in 2019 with those glitter tears tutorials, Vita? Yeah, I've been a little slow in the uptake for this series, but ever since season 2 I've been on the ball. And this is the look I want to recreate for you today. It's a gorgeous one of the beautiful Barbie Ferreira, whose character's named Kat. And yeah, mwah, just love it. So I have these two palettes from Kimchi and Juvia's Place that will be just right, I think. But before I go in with the eyeshadow, I'm going to use this Nars eyeshadow primer. Not necessarily for the longevity, but because these shadows I'm going to use are very pigmented and could stain the skin. So this is just a little extra barrier. And I'm also going to just put a little concealer, a little light concealer under my brows, because you can see they're a little bit red there, and I want to make sure that the colors, the eyeshadow colors that are going to go all the way up to my brows, aren't muddy at all. I really love eye looks where the eyeshadow goes right up to the eyebrows. It's just very satisfying to cover up that whole space. So I found this look on the Instagrams of Donnie Davy and Alexandra French from the makeup department of Euphoria. And with this season, they have been so diligent with each episode to include a lot of details from behind the scenes, from, including face charts and some product information and close-up photos. And that's where I came across this amazing photo of Kat. I'm excited to be trying out some brand new brushes here that I got for Christmas. Thank you, Mimi, for the brushes. And I'm going into the Kimchi palette, and as you can see, there's lots of yellows in this palette that you could use, but I think this kind of greeny apple, sour apple, is the one. And so the first brush I'm going to use is kind of a small domed brush, and I'm going to go right in with that sour apple color. And I'm going to start from the inner corner, just referencing the photo to see exactly where it starts, how high it goes, and then dragging it out towards the end of my brow. I don't know that the makeup artist started with the yellow color or the blue color, but I find it easier for me to plan out the shape using the yellow color first. And it's a little bit more forgiving than the blue. For the blue, I'm going to use this Essence pencil, which is a pretty close match to the photo. And this isn't 100% necessary. You can skip this step and go straight to eyeshadow. The eyeshadow I'm going to use is pigmented enough to not require a liner base, but it does take quite a bit longer to build up the shadow's opacity. So using this eyeliner, I think, is a better way for me to map out the shape, and then once it's as precise as I want it to be, I will fill in the entire lid with the same pencil. So this look that Kat is wearing is actually from the premiere episode when they're all at the New Year's Eve party, but until I saw the photo on Instagram, I couldn't fully tell just how bright the colors were, and how big the winged out shape was. I find with this show, unless you are the star of a particular scene, you may not be lit in a way that's going to necessarily show all the amazing details that they've put into the makeup. So I was grateful that this look was then put on Instagram in all its glory. The brushes that I mentioned are from Quo Beauty, which is the Shoppers Drug Mart beauty line. Some of my very first eyeshadow brushes were from Quo, and let me tell you, they were not this nice. Quo has come a long way, baby. I've been very impressed so far. I'll then take a kind of paddle-shaped brush to lightly buff out the liner, especially around the edges of the wing, to make sure that the liner is not too harsh. The original look is probably more blown out, and shadowy, but I kind of like the precision angles when wearing a bright wing like this. I think Kat is my favorite character on the show, but you know, I have fat girl bias on that matter. Okay, so then for eyeshadow, as I mentioned, I'm going to be using a Juvia's Place palette, and the palette I have is the Mini Masquerade, and I'm going to use this shadow called Zola, which is like this gorgeous seafoam blue color, and it's almost a bang-on match for the liner, except it's a little bit lighter and shimmerier, which is what I want. So that's gonna get packed all over where I put that blue liner, and it makes it, you know, more metallic, and really kind of brightens it up. I'll then just move my brush and use the side of it to pick up some shadow, to place it on the wing. That way I have just a little bit more control of that. Now the picture makes it look like the yellow is also shimmery, so I'm going to go over the matte sour apple color with one of the shimmery yellow shades from that same palette called Yellow Diamond, and I'll just lightly buff that all over where I previously put the yellow. And then that's it for the eyes for now. I'll come back to them once I've got the skin happening. The skin on Euphoria is always very dewy with lightweight coverage. I mean, it helps that the cast are all quite young, with a relatively lovely skin. So I'm going to use one of my favorite light coverage foundations, which is the Urban Cover from Maybelline. It's really great. It also has SPF 50 in it. It's called full coverage because I think they're really trying to dupe the IT Cosmetics CC cream, but I find it's much lighter, especially if you don't apply too much of it. So that's going to go all over the face, and then I'll blend with my Beauty Blender. Barbie Ferreira, she is just so beautiful. Her brows are just absolute dreams. And her facial features otherwise are so petite and delicate and soft. I just love looking at her. I can recall first seeing her in a Vice web series called How to Behave. I thought she was super charming. And of course super beautiful. And I was also surprised that she was a plus-size model because she's actually quite small. She's barely fat. Well, she's a small fat. I could talk about fat liberation politics forever, but yes, she's still incredible fat representation on television, especially for a series starring young people. I think Kat is incredible. Maybe I'll come back to that. Maybe I'll rant some more about that in a moment. But in the meantime, I am filling in my brows. Nowhere near the level of brows that Barbie has. Like, there's no way in heck I could ever have brows like hers, so I'm just gonna fill in my brows as I normally would. I'm using a Benefit pencil that I got a pretty big sample of, or not sample, but mini size of, with 100 Sephora points, and I'm actually very impressed with it. It's a pretty close match to my favorite Anastasia Brow Wiz in terms of the formula and the applicator. The color isn't as close, but it is a really nice fine pencil for getting in there and drawing in brow hairs. Once I've penciled in my brows, I will then set them using a spoolie and my favorite Got To Be glued gel. Other than Kat, I have to say that my favorite characters since the first season actually have been Fez and Lexi. So I've been very excited to see what's been going on between those two in this second season. And I'm sure I will be absolutely gutted and devastated by the finale. Yeah, so Kat's a great character. I find with Euphoria it's easier to say which characters I don't like. than which characters are my favorite. But I just love the way Kat looks, obviously. She's incredible. So this is actually not a big lash look, although on set I'm sure they would have put some light individual lashes on Barbie, but it's not like a full voluminous look. So I'm purposely using this Maybelline Falsies mascara that is on its last legs. It's almost dried out, it's almost time to chuck it. So it's not as full and voluminous as a fresh tube would be, which is what I want. And then I will use my spoolie to remove any excess. I'm using a lot of Maybelline products in this video. Maybe I'm born with it. Here comes another. This is the Maybelline Fit Me Concealer in the shade 5, which is just going under my eyes for now. Covering up my dark circles and brightening a little bit. So, speaking of incredible fat women on HBO, I love watching Euphoria on a Sunday night. And, you know, right after that is The Righteous Gemstones, which I also love, but I especially love this new show that comes after called Somebody Somewhere, starring Bridget Everett. It's a really great show overall, but I love it because it's rare that a TV show stars a fat woman, and then the show has nothing to do with her being a fat woman. I love that. The only other show I can think of where that is the case is another favorite of mine, which is called The Vicar of Dibley. Do you know any other great shows where this is the case? Let me know in the comments. Okay, I used all those affordable Maybelline products, and I'm gonna completely change gears here and use the Tom Ford Shade and Illuminate Cream Highlighter. And I'm gonna apply this quite liberally on my cheekbones, but also under my eyes to mimic where I can see those shiny points of the skin and the highlights from that photo. This is a great highlighter when you are not looking to also add color to the skin, but just sheen and almost wetness. A pretty good alternative to this is the Glossier Haloscope Highlighter if you don't have the Tom Ford. Yeah, I'm gonna conceal some spots I've got on my chin. And that's it for the skin. The photo doesn't really show additional color. I'm sure maybe she's got bronzer or blush on, but I kind of like the powerful color on the eyes with just even glowy skin. Same thing for the lower lash mascara. I'm taking my spoolie after so that it's not too chunky and voluminous, just lightly defined lashes. So obviously there are just so many amazing looks to recreate from this show, but this one really spoke to me because 1, it's Kat, 2, it's bright, and 3, because I could look at the photo and know right away that I've got basically everything I need in my existing makeup collection to make this look happen, which I've been trying to do more often, trying not to buy a bunch of new products just to film one video. But I did need to deviate from that a little bit. The lips are lined with a brown pencil, and I just don't have a brownish lip liner. So I picked up another Maybelline product, and this is the shade Totally Toffee, which based on the shade description is the most brown liner they have. But really it's more still like an orangey, pinky nude, not too far off from Max Spice. So once I've outlined the lips, trying to mostly even out my upper lip line, not overdrawing too much, I'm reminding myself to take a brush and blend it out. I find that I'll put lip liner on and then get very upset about how it looks, but it's just like, Davida, it's makeup, you have to blend it. It can tend to look a little cakey, and then it starts to look a little mustachy, and you don't want that. So, blend. Blending is the key. Again, I don't have a ton of like light brown lip colors, so I did get pretty close, I think, with this NYX product, which is not a liquid lipstick that sets matte, but a liquid lipstick that is shiny and creamy. It's basically like a very pigmented gloss. And I'm going to buff that all over the lips, going back in to define the liner when needed. Finally, a touch of extra beige gloss goes over top. You can use pretty much any gloss that you have. You know, lip liner and lip gloss are still two products that I don't wear that often. I'm more of a lipstick gal, so this is very hard for me to be wearing, so I would appreciate you appreciating me being so vulnerable. Obviously, Euphoria doesn't represent the most realistic high school experience, at least not mine, but I love the makeup. Not only as a makeup fan, but it makes me feel validated as the weird girl in middle school and high school that was very experimental with my makeup. But I was considered the weird one for doing that. The popular pretty girls at school were not experimenting with colors and shapes of eye makeup the way that the popular and pretty girls do in Euphoria. That's the look. I love it. I think the colors are very exciting and the shape is very powerful. Makes me feel great. The season finale of Euphoria airs this coming Sunday. I can't wait. I'm actually very anxious and nervous about what's going to happen to my favorite characters. Yeah, so that's it. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again soon. Bye.